Welcome and thank you for choosing True Grit, the show about what it really takes to rise, rebuild, and stay the course when life hits hard. I'm Kalish, a coach, storyteller, and believer in the kind of strength you can't fake. Around here, we talk about real people, real stories, and the lessons that shape us, from resilience and mindset to health and healing, because grit isn't about grinding harder, it's about who you become when you don't quit. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to True Grit Podcast. I'm Kalish and I am your host. And today's topic is going to be covering the importance of rest. One of the most underrated tools we have in our toolbox that outperforms your vibration plate, your cold plunge, your red light therapy. If you are not getting enough rest in your routine, all of that crap just goes right out the door. It doesn't make a lick of difference. So I wanted to talk about rest, how I would have done things differently when I was training in my 20s, how it relates to that, why people are having a harder time as they get older, putting on muscle, making difference in their body composition, as well as how to train around being 35 years and older. So all of it going back to rest. I'm bringing this up because I just came across a story recently where somebody was talking about how they were having such a hard time putting on muscle now that they're a lot older. And while there is some merit to that, things do change as we get older. It is also around how we train, how we program. Even when I asked about what's your programming, didn't understand what I meant by programming. But when I started hearing more about the story of what this individual was doing, it became very, very clear that lack of rest was having a giant impact on the results he was craving so much. He was wanting to drop body fat, increase strength, and also increase the stamina while running. So that's the thing that I should probably start with. Aesthetics, performance, and strength training. Whenever you're chasing any of those, you are going to have one of those things fall off. So if you are going for aesthetics, you're wanting to lean out and drop body fat, you are going to lose strength and some performance while you're doing that, just because going to have maybe some performance, definitely some strength gains start to diminish. If you are going for performance, so you are high activity, you're doing cardio, you're also going to see some decline in your overall strength. Now, if you're going for strength, you could keep the performance going, but you also need extra calories. So you're going to see a little bit of the aesthetic side fall away, and you're not going to be like that truly carved individual. There are some exceptions to the rules out there, no doubt about it. However, whenever you're chasing one of these things, the realistic expectation of that, oh, that one was difficult for me to say, is that you very rarely are going to be able to accomplish all three, especially not for a long-term thing. So in this case, wanted to drop body fat, wanted to increase runs to 8 to 10 miles a day or nearly daily, and then wanted to see strength gains in the gym. Compound that on top of the fact that he was only eating basically one meal a day. He was giving himself one feeding window in the day. Now, I'll say that he did really well as far as just keeping himself healthy in general. However, I saw so many red flags coming up, and a lot of it was obviously the underfueling. Was not going to be able to get enough protein in his diet and all the other things, the other nutrients that he really needs to be able to grow and perform at his best. But he wasn't giving his body enough rest. So I think back about how I would have trained when I was in my 20s. Now, a lot of people will say, I know what to do. I just need to do it. They're usually reflecting back to something that they were able to do in their 20s, 19s, 20s, and how that was so effective for them back then. The thing is that in our earlier years, in our youth, we have human growth hormones that are just actively overcompensating for bad programming, where we're maybe hitting the gym too much, we're up too late all the time, we're just out being these social creatures, these night owls a lot of times, under fueling or not fueling the correct way. You just hear it all the time. I used to eat pizza all the time and I had a six pack and all that. Like there are things that were going on in our youth that just because it was working doesn't mean it's going to work forever. So people get really disappointed when they hit their 30s and maybe they've let themselves go a little bit and they want to get back on it and they start to try those old things that they used to do and their bodies just can't keep up with it. So we have to go about this a smarter way. I will talk about this a lot. I'm going to talk about ad nauseum about how important like your programming is, how you don't have to go that extreme. You never did it in the first place. In fact, I wish that I would have known these things in my 20s. I would have been able to get so much further and so much less time back then, and it would have really set me up even better now, both just aesthetically and in my health as well, but also just in practice. I probably would not have had this falling off and then getting back on type of thing. Yes, things come up like I had babies, that kind of thing. And so you adjust around the different periods in your life. And so while even the most perfect programming, you can't sustain all of the time, but it still serves you well. So I would have gotten a lot more rest in my 20s. Rest being taking more breaks in between gym sessions. I would go into the gym and spend 2 to 3 hours a day. I remember when I was the most happy with my physique. I was doing 2 to 3 hours a day in the gym, probably spending about an hour, hour and a half on the weights. I really wasn't doing much lower body stuff because I thought that because I was running or getting on the stairmaster that was what was going to be building my legs. And if I'd known then what I know now actually pares down muscle, then I probably wouldn't have been so perturbed at the fact that that really wasn't building anything for me. I was at a disadvantage because I'd had those autoimmune diseases when I was a kid. I didn't get the advantage of other people where you're just naturally putting on that muscle tone when you're younger. So I'm here, my 20s trying to catch up with that and it just wasn't happening. So I was just, okay, I'll run more. I'm going to do more of this. I would go out running in the mornings and then I'd go to the gym and hit the weights, usually upper body, and then I would maybe go take like a yoga class or would do boot camp classes and I was just doing too much. I was still seeing some results in the gym. I was still getting pretty strong. And I wasn't tracking food, but I knew that my appetite, which was normally a pretty low appetite, don't get me wrong, I would still, put away the chips and all the bad stuff, the highly palatable foods, but I wasn't I wouldn't eat big meals until I started training that way. So I think that my body, by listening to those cues, I naturally listened to that and reap the benefits of adding in more foods into my diet. I had a general idea of what I should be eating, but really had no idea of just what each of these. I don't even think I knew what macros really were back then. I just knew that I was just listening to my body and eating more. But again, I know I wasn't getting enough rest. I wasn't getting enough rest between my workout sessions. I was definitely not getting enough sleep. I was a skydiver. Being a skydiver meant like playing all day and then playing most of the night too. We would stay up and everybody would hang Thank you so much for being here on True Grit. I truly appreciate it. If this episode sparked something in you, share it, subscribe, or leave a quick review. It helps more people find these conversations. For more ways to connect, head to true-grit.fitness or come say hi on Instagram at true.grit_bold.wellness. I'll see you next time with more stories, lessons, and a little bit of grit.